What is up, y'all? I am back. It is so good to be back racing after a bunch of injuries. I broke my scaphoid in my wrist last year at Sunny King Crit. Came back, had a great cyclocross season, and then broke my ankle skateboarding in December. And I have not ridden with people since then. I also had a thing with my shoulders, grade 2 AC separation. So this was not only my first race back since all that, this was my 5th group ride since December 10th. This is a brand new crit in Newnan, Georgia. It was a really awesome event though, like really high production value. They had a little street festival, some live bands playing, but the town really came out and got behind the event. There were a lot of people watching on the start finish straight, even for, this is the category 2-3 race, and there was a pro race after this, and the pro race drew some big names. We had like Frank Travieso, Matt Winstead, Brock Mason, some of the guys you hear us talk about over on the American Peloton show showed up for that, and same in the women's race. A lot of the NCL Miami Knights riders were there. I think everybody, including our team, was kind of using this as a tune-up before Speed Week, and I am super proud of how the team rode here, but I will get to that in a minute. For me personally, this was more than just a tune-up. This was kind of a temperature check on like my skills, my fitness level. I had been training hard this entire time. I did a really big block of sweet spot on the trainer, and then I eased myself toward outside workouts as my physical therapist and my ortho doctor allowed me to do so. And I got in a few race pace group rides before this, but a race pace group ride is not a crit. And I wasn't sure how my current fitness, like the numbers were looking pretty decent for this time of year, honestly, despite all of the injuries. I had done the work, I knew that, but you never really know, like maybe you get out there and it's the first time you're really hitting 600 watts out of every corner. It's the first time you're having to corner, in a group with people and fight for position. So I came into this with no preconceived notions of how it was going to go, and I was completely prepared to just pull the plug if I was feeling too squirrely or uncomfortable in the group, or if I just didn't have the legs, and be ready to address whatever I felt like my limiters were and come back stronger. But I got out there and everything started clicking. I felt really good. My only real criticism of myself is that I was racing a little bit too timidly. So as they come up, I'll point out what I think were my missed opportunities. As much as what I got wrong, I also want to point out what the team got right, and we really took this race by the horns. We kind of had to. We had the most guys in this race. A few of our guys had doubled up and done the 3-4 before this, and then this is the 2-3. But we are all 2s and 3s now, so we could do this race together. And being that we are a local-ish team to this race, we had the most guys in it. We wanted to be the aggressors. We wanted to be controlling it from the beginning. So 3 or 4 laps in here, Zach sends it as we get the call for the first cream of the night. We'd gone pretty hard from the gun. I think they called that preem because we were starting to settle down for the first time in the race. So really good instinct from Zach there to get a little bit of daylight. And then this rider from Flickr launches to get across to him. I honestly can't remember if Zach stayed away or if that guy sprinted him for the preem, but this was sort of the inciting incident of the night and really started our plan for the night, which was to get up the road and make everyone work hard to bring us back, really just one at a time. As soon as someone's brought back or it slows down, someone else launch, and make sure that the people who are willing to chase, and there are several strong guys in here that we knew, if we let them kind of dictate a pace they wanted to ride the whole time, would be very fresh at the end. So we had to wear through some of that diesel power that we had in this field. This is textbook stuff right here. Right as Zach is coming back, you can see him in the middle kind of getting absorbed. Elliott goes on the left, goes hard, takes a couple of guys with him. That's a great move. That's exactly what we want to be doing. And notice what I'm doing here. I'm staying in the draft. I'm making 3, 4, 5, 6 guys get out into the wind, go around to cover that move, but I'm also not letting myself just slide to the absolute back of the group. I'm staying in someone else's draft and making them do the work while I'm maintaining a position where I can see the front and I can get to the front. If he is chased down immediately and it bunches back up, I need to be ready for a counterattack. A little bit of foreshadowing here. This Piedmont rider was not great in the corners. You can see the gap kind of going out, and I'm taking a look at should I go around right? Should I go around left? Right here, I just take the inside and pop on around because that gap is getting a little too big for comfort for me. But I will say, to his credit, he did get better and better. He did most of Speed Week, even winning a race that was pretty technical turns about a week and a half later. So this might have been some first race nerves. We have just brought Elliott back, and right at the moment I think, okay, it's starting to slow down. Maybe I should take a look. Alex just rips up the left side here. Nobody near the front is in any shape to respond immediately, and he gets some decent daylight. He stays out there for a couple of laps, and then it lulls a little bit, and we reshuffle and go again.
Let it go, let it go, let it go, let it
You can hear me telling our guys to let it go there because we already have representation in that move. And then I tell him to stick on to Ashton here because we don't want to let that many guys get across and we don't want to fully lose our position in the group, as I mentioned before. So this was a super active race for us. We really took it on. You can see, I believe that's Rob taking a rip there on the left. Here goes another one up the middle. This one was pretty promising. Alex gets a pretty big gap pretty quickly, and then this Piedmont rider tries to go across to him with me on the wheel. I let him get up the road because I'm fine with Alex having one breakaway companion, and then I believe that's Max Abner, also launches a former winner of some of the Speed Week races. And in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, that's a pretty good group. I like Alex's chances, but having two guys to work with, we're a little over halfway through the race at this point. I'm thinking if everybody's going to let me kind of set this easy-ish tempo and let those three get up the road, that is what I'm going to do. But of course, alarm bells start ringing for other people in the peloton when they realize that the one biggest team is up the road and two of the stronger guys in the peloton are with him, so they do start chasing that. It took a while for them to get that one back though. This was one of those moments I mentioned earlier where I should have gone. I had a little bit of an open door and a slowdown, and then it sort of closed in on me. And right as I'm thinking that, up the left, I believe that's Elliott, launches it. Here's a little bit of gamesmanship from me. The Piedmont rider starts to hit it really hard out of this corner, and I have two teammates on his wheel, so I just kind of start to let that go out rather than I was doing 600 watts to hold it, so just back down to 400, but that forces a couple other people to do a bigger effort, allows me to save it a little bit. But just making those little decisions of what to chase and what not to chase is really what wears other people out in the peloton. And on that one specifically, it would have been great for a breakaway to go that someone else initiated and had two of my teammates in it. There were literally too many great attacks and moves by people on my team, some of which I didn't capture because I was out of position or something, but literally everybody took a look off the front. Coming into 4 to go, and this is kind of my turn. Things started to heat up. I didn't see anyone else from our team in a position to respond, so I tacked on here. What you can't see, because I don't run two cameras, because I'm impressed that anyone does that. That is a nightmare to have two video. These are huge video files. Anyway, what you can't see, because I don't have a rear-facing camera, is we get a ton of daylight when I stick this. Like, we, after these two corners, look back and have probably 10 seconds, 15 seconds, like immediately. And we are ripping pretty hard here, and I'm looking around. This is a good combination of guys. I know the guy in front of me, I finished pretty close to him in the top 10 at Athens in 21. I'm recognizing him. I'm recognizing these guys are all strong, all motivated. And here is my next biggest mistake. This is 4 to go. We're coming into the business end of this race. I should have taken a hard pull right here. My hope was, or the card I was trying to play is that these three guys, none of them have teammates in the group. I think actually the guy on the pink bike might have one teammate. The other two don't have anybody. So basically the card I'm playing here is you guys need this to go more than I do. I probably have 5 teammates still in this group, 3 of them capable and ready to sprint. You can hear one guy yelling at us. I should have taken a hard turn there, and right as I was considering it, he went to the front and took a hard turn. But we rolled this group for a couple of laps, and I regret letting it lull a couple of different times. But right or wrong, I thought I might be able to get a free or mostly free ride to the finish and then win the sprint from this reduced group. And if not, if this did come back, I knew that I had teammates that were itching to make some late moves, so I wasn't super worried about it. So it's like a, hindsight's always 20/20 thing. Maybe if I had contributed more to this move, we would have stayed away. I'm going to let these last 3 laps play out in real time without any cuts and talk about it as it happens. So I have watched this finale back several times to try and see what we could or should have done differently, and we debated a lot amongst the team, about what our plan was and what we actually did. I think this is one of those instances where we didn't make any real mistakes, but except for myself not pulling hard right here. I do think at this point I looked back and the field is single file behind us, clearly chasing really hard, and I don't think we're going to stay away for 2 more full laps. So this is me kind of giving it a chance. I'm going to let it come back because I know I got teammates that are in position right here. I'm trusting that somebody is going to give it a go. Zach's at the front setting pace here. You can't really attack at this spot. It wasn't a great place to get caught and counter immediately because there's a downhill into this next corner. So you would really, if you attacked hard right at the moment we got caught, which, is normally the protocol, you would have then had to pull some brakes to make this corner. It would have been a little bit of a waste of energy. So we kind of have to get around these two and even the uphill out of this corner. So it's basically downhill into 1 and 3 and uphill out of 2 and 4. And people were pretty much hammering these uphills every time. So if you wanted to attack, what you had to do is kind of wait for the slowdown at the top of the hill and then launch up the side. And that is exactly what Alex does right here. You'll see him coming up the left side in just a second. He launches. This is the last couple of laps, so people are starting to get pretty feisty. He draws out a couple of riders. This is kind of just a big acceleration. He doesn't get an immediate gap, but this makes a few people who are willing to chase. You can hear me tell Elliott to get on the wheel there. We were trying to do a lot of that too, letting each other in and giving each other slots into the draft when we were sort of stuck out in the wind. So Alex is pushing hard here, but it's pretty much single file behind him. He's kind of dragging the group around. We got to get around these two corners once again before anyone can start thinking about attacking. And then right here at the moment where I think like maybe I should be moving up, you'll see Rob on the right hand side just absolutely start to launch, and then he gets pinched off. And I thought, that's it for Rob. He finds a hole, he like checks up, finds a hole, goes again, and he gets so much daylight here. Alex's move had drawn the guys who were willing to chase to the front, made them do a big pop, and there was that moment. That's the reason, like, when you do attacks, I think a lot of people say, I shouldn't have done that attack because it didn't work, but it's not always a failure if your attack gets chased down. It's setting up the next attack or setting up the next thing. So Rob gets a pretty big gap here because the people who just brought Alex back all kind of look at each other and say, well, I just chased the last one. I'm not going to chase the next one. And Rob, this is also like Rob's signature move. He won the Athens qualifier in 2021 before we were on the same team with basically this exact same move. So here's where we are. We're at 1 to go. We've got Rob off the front. Alex just did a rip to set him up. I covered one right before that. We're both still in decent position, but probably a little bit too far back. As everyone starts to freewheel right here, maybe I should have been more aggressive moving up the right side into that pocket. I think that's truly the answer, is I should have slid up to the wheel that flicker rider, maybe even beyond when it bows out before this corner. But I didn't want to contribute to the pace. Not that that would have been contributing, but just that feeling of like everyone kind of surging up the sides of you starts everyone fighting. And coming out of this corner, I did have a race brain moment where I thought, is this the sprint? Wait, are we sprinting right now? I kind of just lost where I was on the course, and we were doing 900 watts or whatever. So this, I believe it was a super rider who just went so hard, like final sprint hard out of that corner, and none of these guys have any more teammates left. So I kind of felt like everything we had done to this point was tactically sound. You just can't control for someone with no teammates ending their own race just out of last lap friskiness. So Rob gets reabsorbed back into the group here at what is kind of the worst time for me. If he had gotten caught a little sooner, I could have used this straightaway to move up. If he had been caught any later, he would have won the race, because these are the final corners. I've got nowhere to go, and this Piedmont rider slips a pedal there, almost takes Rob out, but definitely slows my sprint down. I do still get around all these guys, but it's too short of a distance from corner 4 to the finish for me to make any meaningful headway with that big gap in front of me from the pedal strike or slip out, whatever that was. So a really mixed bag for me emotionally here. I hate that Rob didn't get it. I feel like 7 out of 10 times that move of his would have worked. I also hate that I wasn't able to pull out a better result for the team, but I didn't think I would be able to race at all at this point. I got a bunch more videos from Speed Week and Sunny King, so stay tuned and see if we can put it together. Thanks.